This video is the first one out of several videos about this set. This set consists of a bandeau top or a sleeveless top or a corset and a mesh top. And they were made from the same material to wear under a mesh top, so it matches, so you don't have to find something to wear underneath. You can just make it from the same yarn. For this project I'm using 1mm crochet hook, and this particular video is an overview of this corset, of this sleeveless top. The next video will be a step-by-step tutorial. I'm going to be showing how I crochet this step by step, and the next videos will be about the mesh top. So let's start the overview. I will explain basic things about this project. It has a zipper, and the length of the zipper defines how wide your top will be. So in my case, my zipper is 18 centimeters and I'm 175 centimeters tall, which means I'm quite tall, okay, which means my back is long. So if you're of my size, you probably want a zipper that long, but if you're shorter, you will probably need to find a smaller zipper, like 15 centimeters. My zipper is from Temu, my crochet hooks are from Temu, these skeins are from Temu. So I'm okay with combining cheap accessories with good, even luxurious yarns, just like this one. This is Italian linen, but we will talk about that a little bit later. The links to those things I will leave in the description box. And what is important about the zipper? You know, there are two types of zippers. This one is like one part zipper, it stays. And there are other kinds of zippers that go into two parts. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, just choose the right color and you'll be fine. Yarn. I'm using Italian yarn in cones. I also have links to those in the description box. Should you use pure linen? Not necessarily. Cotton will work also. The yarn I don't recommend is a viscose, because viscose stretches like a lot. Silk stretches, not as much as viscose does, but it stretches. So I would suggest some yarn that is not stretchy. Of course, I will not recommend wool or merino or anything like that to warm, because for obvious reasons it's a summer garment and you don't want it to be very hot. And so I used pure linen and I worked in 3 strands. How did I do that? There is a trick that I explained in my previous video. Can you use a thicker yarn? Of course you can, because in this tutorial I will be explaining the whole idea. I'm not giving you the exact numbers because we are all different and you will find your own size and your own amount of stitches. As for the skeins, I use those just for a little decoration. These are polyester. I don't mind polyester skeins or paillettes because they do not touch your skin. See, I did those on top of the project. And also for this project you will need a sewing thread and a sewing needle. Now let's take a closer look. So you've got your zipper. First of all, you make a chain and you go from the zipper to this side, for example, or to this side. It doesn't matter, they are the same. And first you are making this part until the very center of your chest, and then goes the second part from the zipper to the center. So from the zipper to the center, from the zipper to the center. You're making a chain and then you're using your sewing needle to fix this chain to the zipper, and then you start working with your crochet hook and going into every of those chains with your double crochet stitches. Oh, I'm sorry, the first row is single crochet stitches, and then you make a turn and go with double crochet stitches into each stitch. At this point, you might want to count the amount of chains and double check the amount of single crochet stitches and double crochet stitches. Why is that? Because you will need to stick to the same amount of stitches until here, and this is where we start the decreases. Now let's take a look at this part of the work. So basically it covers half of your back. This part of the work is just a rectangle, and make sure that this amount of stitches here and this amount of stitches here is the same through the half of the project, like until the increases start. And now if you're crocheting from a yarn that you don't know, if you're crocheting from a yarn that you haven't used before, you haven't washed, you haven't blocked, probably when you finish this rectangle, or even before you finish it, you might wanna wash it, dry it, block it, and to see how your material stretches or shrinks. Now, a very important thing, since it's a corset or a top or something that might stretch, first you should try to crochet like really tight, even a little bit tighter than you actually need. So if you try it on, like when you've reached this point, the center of your work, just make sure that it's really, really tight, because after 3 fittings, it will be right of your size. So don't worry, it's okay if you're just a little bit uncomfortable at first, because any crochet garment will stretch, and maybe as you go ahead and stretch it to help the stitches show its potential, stretching potential. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Now, have this rectangle. At this point you stop and you see, okay, I need more volume here, and you want to divide that part of the rectangle, that side of the rectangle, into 3 parts, like 1, 2, 3. You have 1, 2, 3, and this is on the beginning of the first one. You start your increases. How do your increases go? You will be marking this stitch with a stitch marker, and then you go here into the previous stitch. Here you make 2 stitches into just 1, and then 1 stitch. Okay, and the next row you make 2 stitches. These are the 2 stitches of an increase, and you go exactly into the middle of the increased stitch, and the rest are just regular. And then here again it goes in between the increase. I'm so sorry, the increase. How many increases do you need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I did 12 increases because, I didn't do any calculations. I just went to a mirror and tried to see how much do I need, how much my size requires. So if you feel comfortable with how the increases go, you just stick to this amount. If you're of a smaller size, then you probably don't need 12 increases. You will need just maybe 10, okay? Or if you're of a bigger size, you will probably need 15. I continued just crocheting normally into each stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows, no increases, no nothing, because I wanted this top to follow the anatomical shape. And then I made several decreases. If you look at a human body's anatomy, you see that it needs more volume and then a little bit less volume, okay, but not as less as here, okay? And then when you're done with your decreases, maybe work normally without decreases until the center. So I will be showing that in the step-by-step tutorial. So basically this is a freehanding, okay? When you've got the idea where to start the increases and how to make those, you can make your own, stuff. And then here you will see on your own example, you will see from your own example, from your own body, how many decreases you need, okay? And then I've reached the center and I left this part to wait until this part is done. And this part is absolutely the same as the previous one. So I went from here until the center. And then I united those and just did some decorations with the sequins, which you don't have to do, but just in case if you want. Now the zipper. You see, the zipper is tricky because here we will be having our sewing stitches, and I want to hide those, and I want to hide the zipper inside the luxurious yarn because I don't want these synthetics to touch my skin. So how did I make this pocket? See, there are little bumps. Every stitch has a little bump, and I went into each stitch and crocheted a double crochet stitch into each of those bumps. One row and then another row, and made sure that those 2 rows are enough to cover this zipper. And then I used a sewing needle just to fix it, to fix this pocket. And then the final touches are single crochet stitches. I did 2 rows of those, 2 rows of those here. If you need more, of course, you can go for more single crochet rows. Let's take a step back. When you're working, like let's say your right side is done, you're working on your left side, once in a while go ahead and stop and make sure that each row matches the same row from the previous side, okay? Just it's a little bit of counting, but I'm sure you totally can do it. That's it for the overview, and I will see you in the step-by-step tutorial. And also I'm planning another video on how to secure the edges so this thing doesn't fall off. And I will see you in the next video with the step-by-step crocheting. I hope you have fun. Have fun crocheting, have a beautiful day, and if you have any questions, please answer. I will be happy to answer those in the comment section.